Hey everybody, this is Bill Haisman, and today I'm going to tell you a story. In fact, I'm going to tell you a story that is responsible for me being the person I am. In fact, when I stop and I think about all the different events in life that begin to form us and make us who we are, this is probably the oldest, earliest lesson, life lesson that I can recall that is part of my life every day. Literally, it has become ingrained in me. Now, it didn't happen that way initially. It grew on me. And the value of the lesson played again and again in my head. I've been compelled, this past 2 or 3 weeks, I have felt compelled to share the story. So we're going to do that today. So pull up a seat. I'm going to go as quick as I can, but I'm not known as a slow story or a fast storyteller. I'm definitely not known as a fast storyteller. I'm 8 years old when this takes place, and I have just finished or finishing my first year in Little League Baseball. And I love, you got your friends on the team, you're having fun, it's a great time. But the season's over, and now we're in the playoffs. And I am not in fact, who am I? On this team, I'm probably the youngest kid. And not only am I the youngest kid, but I might be, even though I thought I was athletic, I was small, I was short, okay? And as my mother used to politely say, in fact, I was so excited because when we went shopping, we'd go to the husky section. And she told me that meant I was strong. Now, years later, looking at pictures of myself when I was 8 years old, I was a little chunk. That doesn't mean you're not athletic, but I was young, short, and chunky. I wasn't fast. I wasn't swift of foot, not at 8 years old. And that's the kid that had to go to bat in the last inning of his first playoff game with the tying run on third, the winning run on second, and petrified because I knew in advance I was going to fail. There was no way that I was the kid that was going to win the game for my team. Every thought in my head was, I can't do this. I remember as I grabbed the bat and as I'm walking past the coach and putting on my helmet and thinking, I don't want to do this. Telling him, send someone else. Make up a reason. I don't want to go. I can't do this. Now, he got down on one knee and he looked me in the eyes and he said, Bill, he says, you can do this. And it really isn't if we win or we lose. He says, we're just kids. He said, but it's important that you try. It's important that you give it your best. Now, that could have been the lesson for the day, but it's not. That's one of the most important lessons, I think, as we continue playing and participating in sports, is that we give our best and we don't always win. And that when we don't win, we get another opportunity. We learn sportsmanship. We learn that it's okay when you lose, that you can stand up tall still based on your effort. That could have been the lesson. But it wasn't, not this day. This day, I went and stood in that batter's box, and I had my bat, and I stood there, and I waited for the first pitch, and I could feel myself losing it. So that first pitch came in, and I never even saw the ball. I swung, and I missed. Strike one. And the tears started. I sniff like this, wipe it down. Now I'm crying out of both eyes. And the second pitch comes in, I swing, strike two. Never even saw the ball. Never even saw the ball. Now I got tears coming out of both eyes, and I'm crying. And I'm crying. I am overtly crying, standing at home base in a baseball game with the tying run on third, the winning run on second, and I am bawling like a baby. I am so embarrassed and ashamed of myself. And I'm standing there now, my eyes are closed, and I'm squeezing everything out, trying to make believe I can just hide. You're the focal point. I know everyone's watching me, and I now know that every parent is laughing at me and pitying my poor mom and dad who are watching me melt down in public. And the pitch comes in, I swing, strike three. And I never even look up. I put my head down and I walk back to the dugout. Now, my teammates I can remember to this day, they came up. Hey, Bill, they pat me on the back. It's only a game, man. Don't worry. Stop crying. Let's go have fun. We're going to come have pizza. You going to have pizza? And I am just crying. I can't stop. I can't stop. It's horrible. We go to do 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? And no one would even stand next to me. And I couldn't blame them because I was this blubbering child. Embarrassing everyone I knew. And I couldn't stop. Even when I finally stopped the sounds of the crying, I still had that going on. And I had a tear-streaked face. So I go and I sit in the dugout by myself, and quietly everyone leaves. They know I'm just not going to talk to little Billy over there. He's just being stupid. And this is when the lesson comes. My dad, who built a company from the ground up and is very, very successful, and who today I have a relationship with that, oh my gosh, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But as a kid, he wasn't the dad that was at every game. And he wasn't the dad that you thought of as being warm, kind, and, you know, that guy that put his arm over your shoulder and said, "Ah, shucks, come on, kid." He wasn't the dad that I remember, you know, throwing you on your shoulders and playing horseback rides. He worked hard. And I knew at this point, as I'm sitting here, that I'm too embarrassed to step outside where mom and dad are obviously waiting for me. And all of a sudden, my dad comes into the dugout. And he sits next to me. And he puts his arm over my shoulder. And he says, "Well, that was tough. That was tough, wasn't it?" Yeah. He says, "Well," he says, "I'm going to tell you something." He says, "You remember this, okay?" He says, "The next time you find yourself in this situation, instead of just standing there swinging at 3 pitches blindly, if you're not ready, you back up out of that batter's box. That stops the game. Pitcher can't throw the ball. The umpire can't call strikes or balls. Everything is going to stop. And you lean over and you tie your shoe. If your shoe's not untied," because I was 8 years old, and he knew that was, "But what if my shoe's already tied?" Now you bend over. And if you have to, you untie your shoe, you snug it up, and tie it back up again. And if you're not ready to get back in the batter's box after doing that, he says, "Well, you go and you reach down to your other shoe, and you untie it, and you cinch it up and tie it up." He said, "And if you're still not ready, you untie the first shoe and go through the process again. And when the umpire says, 'Hey, you got to get in the batter's box, the game's got to continue,' if you're not ready, you can tell him, 'In a minute, I got to tie my shoe.' But don't get in the batter's box until you're ready. Take a breath, look around, see what's going on, and then get in the batter's box when you're ready." That's the lesson. That lesson serves me today when I'm frustrated with my kids. I take a breath. I back up out of the batter's box. In my professional career as a realtor, and you're working with clients, and there's always the excitement of finding a house, the fear of talking to the lender, having to overcome this obstacle or that is thrown in your path, and helping them get out of the batter's box and take a breath. There is not a single day that goes by today, with the availability of information, with Twitter happening instantly. And Twitter, 140 characters, partial messages, and we respond to it like it's gospel. We follow different people on Facebook, different groups. Someone says something and you want to just pound out. You want to say something. Take a breath. Remember, today, life happens at a lightning pace, but there's no reason for that. And I think this is why I have felt so compelled to share the story. Everyone that I deal with feels in a hurry. They want everything to happen faster and faster and faster. And in this world that is driven by technology, where we have our smartphone in our pocket and we just reach in on a moment's notice and we walk down the street looking at it like this, talking, texting, instead of looking up. Take a moment, get out of the batter's box. Don't take that next life step without knowing what's around you. And I think that's what I wanted to share. This is how I conduct myself in business. I will always be someone who will take that breath with you or for you. This is how I conduct myself as a parent. For my children, I will endeavor to always take that breath. And I hope when they're old enough that I will share this lesson with them. And that's it for today. I appreciate if you've taken the time to watch this. I hope it had a value. Again, I think I just was compelled. I've had this in me. Hey, Bill, you should share the story. I would love to hear your stories. Comment, share them down below. And let's see if the stories that you have don't help us all become a little better humans. And remember to give credit to that person who gave you that very first lesson. Thank you very much for taking this time, for letting me be a little bit of a storyteller today. Have a good day. Take a breath.